to accept Lightning. This was from Scoresby. 39 comments, 2,038 sats, May 27th, Bitcoin territory. Keyan, what's this?
Yeah. So Jack tweeted this out and released the blog post, but I guess they're going to roll out to all Square terminals, which I don't know how many merchants they have. I wish they provided that conveniently in these releases. But I guess anywhere there's a Square terminal is the idea. You'll be able to pay with Bitcoin, and on behalf of the merchant, I think Jack elaborated on this somewhere, but on behalf of the merchant, Square will auto convert it into fiat for them, and they might, but they can go into their settings and instead change it so that they accept that they'll keep the Bitcoin that they receive. But yeah, this is pretty. I mean, this is pretty big news. I would guess Square has millions, probably tens of millions of customers that will now be accepting Bitcoin via this change. I don't think it's exactly rolled out yet, but they did have a demo of it at the Bitcoin conference. Block had a relatively big presence at Bitcoin conference this year, both with BitKey and this Square terminal thing. But the main Bitcoin conference store that they had in the expo hall, they had Square terminals that you could pay with Bitcoin, and they were attempting to win a world record of the most Bitcoin transactions in a day. I don't know if they made it or not, but it required 4,000.
Did you use it?
Uh,
Did you try it at all?
I did not use it. I had a line. I was going to use it because I wanted to document it because I think it was now asked for a video, but then I saw so many videos of people using it online. I was like, no one needs me to record it. Um, but it it seemed like a lot of people were using it. I talked to people who used it, and it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I think most people were using Cash App to Square Terminal, which is basically probably like an internal. It probably doesn't even really use the Lightning Network. Um, but still, still pretty. I mean, I think pretty awesome for uh, Bitcoin as a medium of exchange and being able people who are living on Bitcoin being able to spend it.
I think my only gripe was with this is, and I don't know if you had any gripes with this, and I put it in the comments below because I think for somebody like me, I just I think because we use Zaprite, like I think a vast majority of Bitcoin businesses use Zaprite and some of these other payment solutions, and people like John and the builders at Zaprite have been working on this stuff for a really long time, um and so like I just for me I just don't try to come at this from a non-biased approach, but I guess it's just kind of hard. So I'm gonna try to be not biased for the stackers, but I just don't understand why I would use a fiat option like Square for Bitcoin payments at this point. I think for me here, let me just get this out, Keon, because I know you'll give me the alternative side. I put it here, and I literally put it here
Mhm.
inside the thing, and I probably explain it better on here. So go read the post. But and I totally get everybody else's side to this, but I just look at it more from bottom up, like, and I do think we're entering a phase where it's just more crucial to be Bitcoin native, and I believe that 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 a company like Zaprite is far more um, far more headed in the right direction to solve a lot more hard payment problems than somebody like Square in the future, because it is solving these hard Bitcoin native, I guess these hard Bitcoin native potential problems that it could have, right? Whether it's scaling, whether it's privacy, whether it's um a dozen other reasons. And when I look at Square, all I see are liabilities on that side because of regulation, I mean, you can name it up and down: tax, KYC, AML, um, any kind of red tape. Um, you could even say some of the other products that they offer are liabilities as well. And then you're throwing Bitcoin as a modular option to that. To me, I don't see a Bitcoin first company there. I see Bitcoin as an option there. And don't get me wrong, I hear you on all this stuff. I think it's fantastic. But I think this would have been better off happening 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, shit, even 2 years ago. I think now it's a little too late, personally, if you ask me. I think, yeah, that's my thing on it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying like it's kind of like that's how I feel about it. But yeah, if you got any thoughts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I do take your point that I think Zaprite is definitely more Bitcoin native, definitely solving harder, trickier problems in the process, asking their customer to do hard things that many of Square's customers will not engage in, and um, and part of that means that I think Square will have more customers, um, at least for the immediate term. They certainly have more customers today, um, and I think this. I would say I would. I'm actually not. I actually think this is pretty good news. I mean, I agree with you that I prefer all these merchants to switch to a Bitcoin native solution. They're only taking Bitcoin, or they're primarily Bitcoin, and because I think Zaprite has a fiat option, but they're primarily taking Bitcoin, encouraging their customers to use Bitcoin. I still think that this is going to probably orange pill more merchants than like a solution like Zaprite requires the merchant to be orange pilled to come to Zaprite. Square is like overnight. If this actually happens, I don't know if it's actually going to happen the way they describe it, but overnight merchants are going to be having Bitcoiners come to their businesses. They're going to see in their settings panel the option to keep Bitcoin that they receive. I think that's a pretty big deal for at least for getting people to understand Bitcoin. Um, and maybe it's not the right way to understand Bitcoin, but I think you need these baby steps, and I think this is one of those baby steps.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think this is great news. I'm not saying it's not. I just To me, I just think it's 4 years too late or 3 years too late at this point. Like I don't think it moves the needle. Um, and I hear what you're saying, that it's going to get people onboarded, but I actually think Cash App does a way better job of doing that personally. Um, yeah, I think Cash App
Yeah,
already does a good job because it reaches it kind of already reaches that audience of like Gen Z and millennials and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that's why it was always kind of weird to me that they didn't implement this a lot sooner. It was just always kind of weird, and even how it's always been separated from Square and Cash App, and it's always been a weird thing. And that's why I just never like understood why they just couldn't do it sooner. Um,
mm-hmm.
so that's why it's always just been kind of like a. That's why I think it's just like right now when I see Square doing this, it's just like yeah, I don't. Everybody uses Toast anyway at this point. Like to me, I don't see this as a big deal at all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean,
yeah. I
we have a
would
Square. I
say,
mean, we have a Square terminal. We use Square, so it's like I'm also a customer of Square. So that's so I do have experience with it. I'm just saying, like to me, it's like yeah, it's late, but I think Cash
okay,
App is yeah. Anyway,
more
that's what
popular. Yeah, I think Toast. I believe that Toast has more terminals in the wild than Square does. but Square still has a lot of terminals, as I understand it. I haven't looked at it, but I would guess 10 million, maybe more, just a lot. And then the other thing I was going to say is why this didn't happen sooner is I think it might be regulatory. Because another thing that happened around the conference that Bob Bob the Builder report. I don't know if it's Bob the Builder or Bob the Bitcoiner. I forget. But Bob reported on uh, Cash App releasing Lightning addresses. So every Cash App
Um,
user now has a working Lightning address, and for I think it's been over a year. But I remember Austin, a Bitcoin pleb dev, he saw that Cash App had these non-functioning Lightning addresses on their domain
was it on
like
Stacker
over a
News? Did
year
that get
ago.
reported on Stacker News? Where can I find that, Bob?
I think so. I would just go Lightning address Cash App.
Let me see.
Oh, it was Megalith reported on it. Yeah, or Mega
Mega.
Dreamer. They did some
Yeah.
like cross promotional um, thing where they're like, Cash App has these now. You can use predicts
Oh, Mega
with them.
Dreamer. I see him now. Go
Bitcoin
to
Coder Bob.
post. A week. Just confirm Cash App. Oh yeah, I see it here. Just confirm Cash App stealth address drop. Um, is it right here? Oh yeah, I
Anyway,
see it
but yeah,
there. So you just looked in like the
yeah.
sources or something, or what? You just looked in the console.
Uh, I don't know how Bob found it. He might have just thought to test it after they did this Square announcement. Um, and yeah, then apparently it worked. And so he's like, they released them. They didn't say anything about it, but they released them.
So he sent
And
Sats to his addresser now.
yep,
Interesting.
yep. So they're out there. People are, um, yeah, people can receive to their Cash App Lightning address now. And so I would guess that's what makes me think it's like regulatory is they felt maybe a little threatened by the regulatory regime in the last administration around Bitcoin stuff, and they didn't really want to turn it on and become like this Bitcoin company. Um, and now I think they're not so afraid anymore and
Oh, because under Trump.
are going for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you it doesn't get reported on widely in Bitcoin, but I believe they had all kinds of like money laundering and they get all kinds of lawsuits as one of these giant companies
Yeah.
does and fines and all kinds of actions from government agencies and I so that's my thought is they were just afraid to allow more Bitcoin payments to happen where
Well,
people involved are not KYC'd.
well, I guess in that case, then I guess they just sunset Square at some point, and Cash App just becomes the standard. I guess maybe that's what happens. Because I mean, if yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, I see the post now, and then all the stackers are like, "Let's go." Yeah. So it looks like one of them said, "Thanks for confirming. Shame that New York is not allowed. I think the best way to confirm if someone's cash tag works is by calling the endpoint, and then replace cash underscore tag with actual users cash tag." Um, that's interesting. That's crazy. Leave it to Bob the
Yeah,
Builder to figure that out. Cool.
well
Good
it's
stuff.
Bob, it's Bitcoiner Bob or Bitcoin Coder Bob, not Bob the Builder.
Yeah. He always wins all the Zebedee hackathons all the time at TabConf.
He's a
Cool.
cool guy. I've run into him a lot.
Yeah, he's the one that sent the sat spam, member. All
Oh
right.
right.